Hello, I'm Beth Espy. Welcome to the Startline podcast, supported by the Manx Motorcycle Club. This is where I talk to the riders, the mechanics, the team owners, anyone who plays a part in making racing happen. From the preparation and pressure to the people and the passion behind the scenes. Welcome to the Startline podcast. Thank you so much for downloading this episode. In just a moment, we're going to hear from our guest today, someone who quite literally comes from a racing pedigree. But first, I'm just so delighted to say that the Startline podcast is now supported by the Manx Motorcycle Club. They are the organisers of the Manx Grand Prix. And this support means we're going to be able to speak to an even wider range of people, so from riders to organisers, and properly follow the journeys of the MGP newcomers and those hoping to make it to the start line, including some of the voices you'll already recognise from the podcast so far if you've listened to previous episodes. So a huge thank you to the Manx Motorcycle Club for backing this podcast and helping us tell those stories. Well, let's move to today's guest. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He lives in the Isle of Man. He's been hugely successful during his racing career so far, although he's still very young. And his entry for the Manx Grand Prix 2026 has been accepted. Oh, and his dad happens to be a fairly well-known name when it comes to MGP and TT. Today, we are with Illiam Quayle.
I'm 22 years old. I'm from Douglas in the Isle of Man. I've been racing now for almost 12 years now. It's a long time now. I've raced at pretty much every level in the country, from club racing to one make series at BSB to national level at BSB, GAB. So yeah, I've done a little bit.
And it's the big one this year, isn't it? You are going to the Manx Grand Prix. Just tell me what it was like, obviously, when you got that news through that you had been accepted, Illy.
Yeah, I had a lot of sleepless nights thinking about it, worrying about it. Oh, will I get in? Will I not get in? And then now that I've got in, it's almost gone the other way where I've still got sleepless nights because I'm not worrying about it, but thinking everything through in my head, making sure I know where I'm going. And I just don't think there's anything else in the world that takes over your life like this place does.
And we should say at this point, you have a fairly well-known father in this world, and somebody who probably will be able to point you in the right direction. You are Milky Quayle's son, and when we last spoke to you on a podcast, I think you were thinking about doing the MGP last year, weren't you? But what was the reason behind the year's delay?
Yeah, so the whole idea was to go to TT. That was where I wanted to get to. Obviously, last year happened. I struggled more than I thought. I'm not gonna deny that. I didn't think I'm gonna run at the front because it's a national level championship. There's not many people that can do that. So struggled last year with that. I think maybe lacking a bit of confidence. My confidence kept getting knocked and just struggled to get a bit of momentum behind me. So at the end of the year, I split with Manx Legend Racing, who obviously I can't thank them enough for what they've done for me over the last two seasons, but ultimately we went off separate directions. So then that made me think, then well, hang on, if lacking a bit of confidence going to the TT on a big powerful superbike, which is what I would have been riding for them, maybe it's better to go. Obviously you got all the glitz and the glamour of the TT, a lot of pressure to even, I mean, you've got to do 120 on a big bike to even qualify. Like most people know, that's not hanging around. So then I was like, I tell you what, why don't we just take a step back, go back to enjoying racing, go to Manx Grand Prix, under the radar, ride round, enjoy the best piece of tarmac in the world, and yeah, go from there.
Under the radar, Illy, really?
Well, yeah, I like to think so.
I just wonder, though, obviously, having Richard Milky Quayle as your dad, he's got such a key role in the TT and the MGP. What pressure does that put on you, do you think? Can you ever escape the fact that you are Milky's son?
No, ultimately, it's always going to be with me. It's always going to follow me with no matter what I do in motorbike racing. But again, it's not like it's happened overnight. I've had 12 years of it, so I think maybe it's something that I've learned to deal with, compared to somebody, say, that's been super fast and gone to the TT or the Manx Grand Prix or whatever, and those was, he's going to be the next, Peter Hickman, Davey Todd or whatever. I feel like the pressure is that I've always had the pressure, so it's nothing new to me. It doesn't matter whether it's Braille, Brands Hatch or whatnot. So I can just go into my normal mindset and then just enjoy it.
Do you think people though, take you seriously enough in your own right? You're not just living in your dad's shadow.
No, I don't, maybe a little bit when I was younger, but I'd like to think now I've done enough by myself to not be living in that. Do you know what I mean? If I was, I don't know. Yeah, I don't really. I'd like to think that I've done enough to people to recognise me for me and not for dad.
And what is it like when he gives you advice? I suppose, first of all, does he give you advice, or do you kind of try and keep that relationship a little bit distant? Because it's an interesting dynamic, isn't it? Again, because he's so involved in it.
Yeah, it's one of the things, like, even now, when we were in start of February and we've still not actually been for a lap together, because all throughout when I was younger racing and stuff, it was like he didn't want to poke the fire. He was waiting for me to come to him. Like, don't get me wrong, every now and then, if we're going to Peel or whatnot, we'll do Grandstand to Ballacrane, but we've never gone, right, let's get in, we're doing a lap, this is how you do it. But other, like, advice on short circuit, yeah, good. He's been amazing with setup advice, riding advice, and bits like that.
So do you think the lap is going to happen in the next few months? Are you going to try and drag him out for one? Yeah?
Yeah, now that we know the entry's confirmed and stuff, that we're definitely going to get out. But again, with Paramount being so busy, it's hard to try and find time to get out, and with the winter months being so short. But obviously we've got the newcomers weekend coming up, so we'll try and get out before that. At least I've got a base map from him.
Have you got the PlayStation game at home? Are you one of those ones that plays on that?
Yeah. I'm always on that. That's just smashing it out all the time.
Who's the rider that you choose to be?
Oh, who was I playing as last night? Who was it? Oh, do you know what? I think it was David Johnson, because it was on the CBR 600. And I was like, I've got to be riding the bike that I'll be riding.
You mentioned Paramount, which is obviously, hugely iconic for people who've grown up on the Isle of Man, and it's just amazing to see it, the way it's been restored and sort of repurposed now. But it is, again, a huge part of your family's life. Are you working much in there?
Yeah, so I was working in there when we first opened, and we're just trying to find our feet with everything. But since then, I've took a step back and I work somewhere else now. Just because, it's the hospitality industry, is everything's so fine, to put another wage onto the business when I didn't really need to be there. To be fair, we were overstaffed anyway. So we've got proper baristas and proper people that know what they're doing. So there's no point me just running around doing dishes all day, adding an extra strain onto the business.
So that's good. So you've found your own sort of path financially, and how much is that helping towards paying for your racing?
It's helped massively, like, one thing it's made me realise this year is maybe subconsciously I didn't want BSB as much as I thought I did, if you know what I mean. Like, since we split with the team, it was like, right, we're going to have to do this the hard way again now. Work every hour that God sends. And then it's put a rocket on my ass, definitely, to think, right, this is what I want to do. I'm going to have to go make it work.
It's an incredibly difficult world to be in when it comes to the financial side. So you have to have that drive, don't you, really? It has to be the thing you want more than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just the cost of motorbike racing now is horrendous.
And especially, I guess, for somebody coming from the Isle of Man who's had to travel away so much as well. And, it doesn't leave much time for anything else.
No, absolutely. Like, my day now consists of waking up, going to work, 10 hours at work, go to the gym, have tea, go to bed, the same again every day. But again, I've fallen in love with that lifestyle of the drive and the want to do it, to make myself better every day.
And there's some great news that we saw out this week in terms of your partnership and the team that you're going to be working with. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the man needs no introduction, does he really? He is a legend. It's an amazing opportunity to be working with Ian Locker and his team. It's just, even now, every now and then, I'm still pinching myself that it's happening. Like, everyone talks about like 250 Grand Prix bikes, but obviously I was a bit older than that. But for me, that's what the patterns are like. I've always said that whenever I get out on the TT course, that I'd love to have a rip on one of them. So to be able to have that on a Honda CBR 600 at my fingertips, it is amazing. It is unbelievable.
So how did this all come about then?
Dad's known Ian for ages, and then a couple of years ago now, probably I would have been 18 and thought I was the bollocks. Probably a bit of a knobhead, to be fair. And I went over to the Northwest to help Jamie Williams, and I went up to Locker and I said, I want to ride one of your bikes. And he was like, all right, okay, yeah, all right. And then nothing happened then. And then it got to the end of last year, and then obviously me and Manx Legend Racing split. And then I just said to him, I said, look, I've got nothing sorted for this year. Is there a possibility that we can sort something out? And it's literally just snowballed from there, really.
And what does it mean to you, not only in terms of having that support behind you, that team support, but as you say, I mean, he is such a legend. You know, if somebody knows what they're doing around the mountain course, it really is him. What does that mean to you to have that?
It honestly means the world, because obviously it was always going to be a struggle with Dad as well. Obviously, he can't be taking a set of wheels out, putting a set of wheels in, and then 5 minutes before I'm out, and then he's got to go and flipping close the road up get parked for and they sorted. So the plan was always to go and find a ride for somewhere else rather than trying to do it off our own backs, because it just would be impossible. But I mean, to have Ian it is amazing. The little nuggets of advice that he can give on not only riding, but everything else around actually on riding. It's just, yeah, he's unbelievable.
I tell you what, though, your dad is without doubt the busiest person in the paddock. If he could do it, he would absolutely. I think he needs to grow like a few more arms. He's like an octopus. He's sweeping things up there. He's closing roads and whatever. Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering whether you get that drive from him, actually, because he seems like he never, ever stops. I can't imagine a Sunday afternoon, Milky sitting on the sofa watching the telly.
No, never happens. Never, ever happens. Maybe at like 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, and if MotoGP's been on or something, we'll sit and watch MotoGP. And then I'll be back up Monday to do it all again.
So just tell us then, what was life like growing up in the Quayle household?
It's been so involved that I honestly can't picture like a single like some people say they saw like a photo or a video on telly and it was a switch and like, I'm going to do that. But it was just because it's just been a constant. It's always been around. It's all I've ever known. I mean, my earliest memory really, I remember being at May Hill when John McGuinness, I think it was the 2009 senior, I think when he broke down at May Hill. That was like my earliest TT memory, but just running around the paddock and just being a lunatic at the age of 3-4 years old, just flat out everywhere.
Do you remember the first bike you ever got?
What was the first bike? Well, actually, my first mini moto, Dad got it for me when I must have been about, I think it could have been like 3 months old, and he took the engine out of it and put a set of stabilisers on it, and I just push it around the house. So I didn't have a balance bike. I had a mini moto without the engine in it.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
It's normal, isn't it?
And what about your mum? Is she into bikes generally, or is it, just on your dad's side?
Her mum didn't come from a biking family, but she's just the biggest fan as me and Dad. Like, me and Mum have gone to watch MotoGP. If we used to go to the British Grand Prix, which used to be in Classic TT and Manx Grand Prix, and me and Mum would go on a summer holiday there to that, just me and her, or TT. We're always up at 6:30 in the morning to go and get a good spot. So yeah, I mean, my mum's amazing. She's obviously been through all of Dad's career, and unfortunately, I'm putting it through all again. But yeah,
I suppose that's the question, really, isn't it? Because I guess as a parent, you are in two heads because you want your child to follow their dream, but we are realistic. This is not a sport that doesn't come without inherent dangers. And obviously, I mean, your dad's had a fairly major incident on the TT course, which everybody saw. I think that video is still probably flying around somewhere. Yeah. And I just wonder how you feel about what she probably goes through.
Do you know, it's weird, like when we've had all these emails confirmations through, she's just as excited as I am. And then she go, hang on, why am I excited? I mean, it's just, Mum's been around it long enough now to know that we're all selfish bastards, really, which we are in honest truth, aren't we, really? Like, it's not a normal thing to do, but that's also what makes it so special and what makes the emotions of it so amazing.
What were you like at school, Illy?
Disruptive, like to be a centre of attention. Yeah. I wasn't bad, I still remember it now. My science classroom looked out to the top of St. Ninian's Crossroads, so I'd be sat in science and I wouldn't be listening to whatever they were talking about. I'd be thinking, oh, one day I'm going to be coming through here flat out. I was like, yeah, it just takes hold of you, innit? There's just every aspect of your life is just controlled by it if you're from over here and interested in bike racing.
Do you know what? That must have been a blooming nightmare when you were doing your exams, and if it was during TT, you could hear the bikes.
I actually, luckily enough, I was COVID year, so I didn't sit any exams. But the TT schedule was out, and the TT schedules were out, and my exam schedule was out before COVID all kicked off, and I had exams like on Supersport race day and stuff. I was like, oh, I'm ruined. That's me getting no GCSEs. But luckily, I didn't have to sit any. So
that is very fortunate. And do you ever see any of your teachers now? I always think that's really funny, isn't it? When you've kind of you've grown up and maybe known to be a little bit disruptive, because big characters normally are, aren't they? And then you sort of see them now and they see what you've achieved so far and what you're going on to do. Do you ever bump into them?
yeah, every now and then. Funnily enough, I saw one last Friday, I think, Friday or Saturday. And they said to me, I think it was my year 8 maths teacher or something. And she was like, oh, you've changed a bit since I last saw you. I was like, I know. But she was like, oh, I'm proud that one of my students has gone on to do something that they want to do and that they work hard for. It was quite a nice feeling, to be fair. It was like, oh, yeah, it was a really nice feeling.
And it must be great, from a teacher's point of view, to see a young person who is following their dream and doing what they want to do, and maybe they feel that they've had a little part in that. I don't know how much maths plays a part in bike racing, but maybe you have to add up how much money you're spending. And going through school, was there ever any sort of career that you thought you might want to follow that didn't involve bikes at all?
No, it was find a job that could pay for motorbikes, whatever job it was.
Again, finding a job that gives you the flexibility. You've been away so much, and as I say, you've achieved so much in different places. If you had to pick a highlight of your career so far, sort of a pinnacle moment up to this point, what would it be?
I'd say I'd be winning the No Limits Championship, Super Team Championship in 2019. That was pretty special. It was the first year I did Super Teams in 18, which I struggled a bit because I was still tall then. I was still 6 foot and I was racing against 5 foot nothing little kids. I mean, I was a little kid, but I wasn't. I was a big kid. So it was either the 2019 Super Twin Championship, because we just rocked up at the first round, ended up on the podium and just kept on plugging away through it. Missed a couple of rounds as well. We had a blow up. We had quite a lot of bad luck as well. Either that or the BMW F900 Cup. Mate Charlie, he rode it for the year and he didn't want to do Fruxton, or he couldn't. I can't remember the whole. He said, "I'm not doing Fruxton. Do you want to do it?" I was like, "I've never seen the bike before, never seen the track before." I was like, "Yeah, I'll have a go. I'll have a go." So literally just rocked up on a Thursday night, sat on the bike, thought, "Yeah, this was all right," and then ended up putting it on the podium on the Saturday, and then in the F900 Cup as well. From each sheet race, the top 6 grid positions get pulled out of a hat, and then ended up pulling pole position. So I've just rocked up a track I've never been to on a bike I've never been, podium. I've ended up on pole position for the main race on Sunday at BSB, and then crashed out of the race, I think out of 6th position after like 4 or 5 laps. So it was literally a weekend of just everything. It was unbelievable.
That's a roller coaster and a half, that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You mentioned the sort of physical side there, and I think that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because you are just over 6 foot, aren't you?
Yeah.
That must bring its own challenges, because when you're thinking about going around the mountain course, that is a long time to be tucked in, the physical strain on your body. How are you going to prepare for that?
I mean, luckily enough, I get help from Ironman Sport Aid. They've been amazing, to be fair. So I get 4 or 5 sessions in the gym a week. And then in that, with my coach and stuff, we've worked a lot on flexibility and mobility training as well. But again, around the TT course, it's not like BSB where you've got to be a whip. You know what I mean? It's like you said there, it's a long, old physical race. It's not just 20 laps, leave your brain out. You've got to stay relaxed and just let the bike move. And if you're a bigger rider like myself, you can just control the bike a little bit easier over the bumps and through the higher speed sections.
Talking about sort of staying relaxed, how do you feel before you set off in a race? Your person gets nervous? Are you quite chilled out?
I'm like so relaxed. It's just like literally, I have been shouted at before for being too relaxed. I'd literally rock out of bed 20 minutes before qualifying at BSB and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, let's go for a run. Let's go for a run out. Which I think is a good thing to go to the race. You don't want to be going out there. Yeah, obviously nerves are good, but you don't want to be going out there like, rah, like dead worked up. Like just chill out Sunday ride and just tool around.
You are so Manx right now, that trade allure attitude. But it is really important. And I think, we've spoken to lots of people on the podcast who've said how important it is to be able to just relax a little bit and try and take it all in and just go with it, because that, unexpected things can happen and be thrown at you in terms of coming up to the race and preparation and whatever. And you kind of just have to go, yeah, it'll be what it'll be.
Yeah, you can't do anything about it, is the way I see. You've just got to focus on the things you can control. Do you know what I mean? It's my job to control myself, and then it's the team's job or whoever to control the bike and in the preparation for that. So there's no point. They know what they're doing just as much as I know what I'm doing. So I've just got to put the trust into them to what I do. I've trusted every person that I've worked with so far through all of my racing. They know their job just as much as I know my job.
So how much time are you going to have to work with the team?
So I'm going to I've got a test at the end of March with the team for the first time, meet up with them all. And then we're going to go and do the first Scarborough as well with the team. And then something that we just did the other day, actually, I think me and Dad are going to go and just do Cooksdown. I've got a little 600 that I've had for ages, so we'll just go over there just for a little run around on that, just for a bit more experience on the roads. You know, everything's different if you go road racing. And then I'm also going to go and do the Northwest with Ian Locker as well on the pattern, which would be good fun. Yeah, there's nothing else in the book, but there is the I've spoke to Ian about the option of doing maybe some more Scarboroughs or some of the other Irish stuff, or maybe even some short circuit stuff as well.
And I mean, you mentioned sort of like working elsewhere now. Are they quite flexible?
Yeah, no, they're really good with me. My racing, in my eyes, comes before anything else. For every job that I've had, I don't want other people stopping me from me to live my dream for them to live their dream, if you know what I mean. Like, so I've always said that I would only ever work at a job where I can say, right, I'm off on Friday, I've got to go racing, and then I'll be back and work Monday morning, but I'm sorry, but I'm off on Friday. Or, do you know what I mean? To me, racing is the most important thing in my life over everything else. That's why I wake up every morning and, go to work.
And then what does that mean sort of like social life wise? I mean, I'm guessing you're not seen around the streets of Douglas or early Saturday morning, rolling out of pubs or whatever.
No, not really. Another thing, I took a couple of years out in 23, I had a bit of a year out, and maybe up until then I was, and maybe I wasn't as interested in racing as I thought, and then I didn't race and realised how shit life is without motorbikes and stuff like that, and I was just working to then spend my money to go out on a Saturday. I was like, I'm not doing this for the rest of my life. And it was the kick up the arse I needed, to be fair, to make me realise that, yeah, do you know what, this is what I want to do. So yeah, not as much as I used to. Don't get me wrong, every now and then through the off season and stuff, I'll go out and have a couple of pints with the boys and that, but it's not mental 4 o'clock in the morning jobbies anyway, that's for sure.
And then have you got many friends within this sort of, who are doing the same sort of thing, or, are they sort of friends from school or whatever?
George Halliday, he's probably one of my closest mates within the paddock. Him and Charlie Hopkins, who was a newcomer at the Manx Grand Prix last year, they're the people that I speak to all the time. I'd ring them up on a random afternoon, just see what the crack is. But yeah, they're my only real mates from within the road racing paddock. There's obviously lots of other people that you speak to and say hello to and meet up every now and then, but them two definitely have been, like, if I need to speak to somebody, it'll be them that I'd ring.
And what do your other friends then, who you sort of went to school with, make of what you're doing?
Because I've always been, like, when we were younger, it was like, oh, let's go out and watch the racing. So I've always dragged them into motorbike racing as well and being fans of it as well. They're excited. Yeah, they're loving it, I think.
I just wanted to go back to something you said. So you and your mum used to go out and sort of like make sure that you got your favourite spot when you were out watching. Where is your favourite spot?
Gorflee's pretty phenomenal. That was always mine and mum's go-to, really. Oliver Garra's another good one. Again, there's just so many, isn't there? One of the best days watching I've ever had was the last day of the Manx Grand Prix this year. Me and 3 of my mates walked from the Cregna Bar all the way up to Kate's cottage, and then walked from Kate's along the wall all the way to the 33rd, all the way through, all the way to Windy Corner. We just spent a whole day. We were watching the racing as we were walking. It was just like everybody who was there knew how good the weather was. It was stonking hot. We all got sunburned. Again, that's what the TT and the Manx Grand Prix is all about. It's not just sitting in a tightly cramped hedge. I mean, you've got 37 3/4 miles to go out, really. You've just got to, just go out there and find and make a day of it as well. 100% make a day of it.
Can you even begin to imagine what it'll be like when you're sat on that start line on Glencrutchery Road and Mark Pendlebury's hand taps you on the shoulder?
Not really. Like, I try and think about what it must feel like, and then I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, yeah, it's just, I'm not excited about it and stuff. It's like, oh, yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
I'm going to ask you that question after it's happened and see what was going through your head. Just finally, Illy, obviously social media, big part of the race world nowadays. Are you sort of up with keeping up to date with how things are going on there?
Yeah, to be fair, I'd say that's one of my strong points. I'd like to think that I have a good social media. I'm on it all the time. It's good. Do you know what I mean? These sponsors put all the money in that they do, which none of us could do without them. So it's nice to, I think, if they can give you some money, then you've got to be bothered to put the work in for them and stuff, and show them that you're willing to to put the work in and your social medias and all other aspects of it.
And even though you're working with the ILR team, you still got your own sponsors as well. Who are they?
Yeah, so I've got Ultimate Experience. He's been a mega the last couple of years. Obviously, if OFR has a big part to play, Howard, he's helped me for the 4 or 5 years. He's helped me out. He's been massive. Again, another one, if ever there's anything wrong, I just nip up to the shop and talk things through with him. Abbey Access as well, the scaffolding company from the UK, they helped me out last year. Ironman Sport Aid again. Yeah, there's just so many that it's hard to keep count of them all.
Where can people follow you on social media then, Illy?
So IQ Racing #10 on Facebook, and then Illiam Quayle _10 on Instagram.
Well, it's been amazing talking to you, and I'm sure we will catch up before MGP, and then obviously when it's all here a little bit later on in the year. But go and tell your dad to sit down, because it's what time is it? We're up to 8 o'clock as we're talking now. He probably needs a little bit of a rest. And see if you can drag him out for that lap over the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, mate.
Illiam Quayle, who I'll be catching up with again at the MGP Newcomers Weekend, so I'll find out if that lap actually happened. Thank you so much to Illy. As usual, his social media links are on the podcast page. They're also tagged on the Startline Facebook and Instagram pages as well, so you can find him there. And there are also some pretty good photographs of him too. Well, thank you so much for listening to the Startline podcast, which is brought to you by the Manx Motorcycle Club, the organisers of the Manx Grand Prix. Do check out the riders on social media. Your support means so much to them. And if you'd like to get in touch with me and be a part of the podcast in the future, it's beth@startline.im.